They're pretty.
Lamb chops, I think, huh?
Probably.
Morning, Dale.
Love me a lamb chop.
Morning. Talking about sheep. We've had a few.
I've been a sheep. I've been listening to Saya this morning. And with it, we all go our own way.
Well, it's our appointed hour. I was kind of hoping that Brent and Nancy would join us online, but they haven't. So we obviously need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, particularly Brent. I'm the worship leader this morning. Do we have joys or concerns that we want to share before we start?
Well, my sister and my niece could use your prayers. They're the ones with cancer. And they're very private, so I don't know really what's going on.
So
It was a joy to be at Dave's house and visit with him and do some touring of some of the historic places, museums in Stuart, Florida. It's quite a story of that community.
I got out to see some places that I don't normally get out to see.
Yesterday, I had to walk around the campus with the director here at the deaf school. So I was trying to identify what projects I could work on this year. We got done, he said, "You've been coming here for 22 years." He said, "You've done your part. We want you just to be the grandparents there this year. You don't have to do anything." So that was a joy. So they're going to butcher a pig tomorrow morning, and I don't have to go.
Well, it is a joy to have Dick walking around in the background and to have him recovering. And I know that all your prayers and support and the prayers and support of all my friends, capital F and small f, have been a great comfort to me. So thank you very much.
Does anybody have any announcements that need to be made? We are not going to have monthly meeting today since Brent is still under the weather. There was nothing that we really needed to do this month, so we will plan on having monthly meeting in February rather than today. I don't know of any other announcements. Does anybody else?
I don't have an announcement, but I forgot to mention, I don't know if you all saw it, that Anita Wilhelm passed away. And she was a classmate of mine and Stan's.
Right.
Well, if there's nothing further, if you would mute yourselves, that would be good. And then if you feel led to speak later on, you can unmute yourself at that point. Let's have a few moments of open worship, and then I will speak out of the silence. Well, those of you who have read the newsletter recently know that I've been thinking a lot about wintering. That's not even a term I would have used until relatively recently. But two books that I've read in the last month have brought that idea to my mind. So I'm looking at it in a different way than what I would have in the past. One of the books that I have read is Peter Wall-Laban's book called The Hidden Life of Trees: What They Feel and How They Communicate, Discoveries of a Secret World. It's a fascinating book. I would encourage any of you to read that. The other one is by Catherine May, and it's called Wintering: The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. And they both have things to teach us about darker times, colder times of our lives. In the past, I've struggled with the long, dark, cold nights of winter, and probably even had seasonal affective disorder, depression brought on by the cold and the dark. I'm finding more now, though, that it's not so much the long nights that give me problems, it's the dreary days with no sunshine. And those of you who live in the Midwest know we get a lot of those in the wintertime. But instead of hunkering down and trying to just power through winter, these books have encouraged me to think about the short days and long nights as a time of rest and taking care of myself. As the author of the Trees book says, trees couldn't grow as big or live as long without the times of rest provided by winter. While they look dead, they are simply resting, preparing for the explosion of growth that takes place during the warmer times. And Catherine May also suggests that we should honor the dark times of our lives, whether they come from actual winter or because of events in our lives, and we should use those as times of healing so that we too are ready for the explosion of growth that happens during warmer times. The Bible doesn't specifically talk about wintering, but each of the Gospels talk about Jesus going up into the hills to pray after busy times of ministering to the throngs of people who followed him around all the time. If taking time to rest and nurture himself was important for Jesus, how much more important is it for us to do the same? Whether you're in a dark or challenging time of your life, or whether it's merely the darkness of winter, I encourage you to find ways to nurture yourself, to sit quietly with God and listen to what God has to say to you. Use the quiet times of your life to prepare for the busier times that are to come. Now, choosing hymns that go along with the theme of wintering is very subjective, of course, so you all might choose totally different ones than what I have chosen this morning, but I have some hymns to share that talk about spending time with God, and I hope that they speak to you as well as they have to me. It's that time when we're ready to transfer ourselves from programmed meeting to worship to unprogrammed meeting for worship. We know some of you need to leave us. It's good to see you all, and we wish you Godspeed and hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn. in the middle of all this crisis time that I've had in the last month or so, I was thinking about something that I had read a while back by Sandra Cronk, who wrote the Dark Night of the Soul. And I don't believe she's a friend. I think she's friend adjacent. And she talked about that place where you get where it just seems as though you can't think your way out of anything. That no way of your ordinary way of thinking about things can get you past an impasse, where your marriage is dead, someone's ill, all these other catastrophes that can occur, and or things that feel like catastrophes, even though from a distance they will appear that way. And talking about how that is like the ground out of which a connection to God can arise, that you go beyond the place where and you go into a place of unknowing, and that's where you find God. When I think about this wintering, I had like a moment in the middle of all this, which I don't know. It was like I'm standing around and trying to do a mundane task, and it's like I'm listening to Peggy Lee in the background singing, "Is that all there is?" And I know better. I know better in some place, but I can't reach it right now. And that's when, knowing that knowing the possibilities, having spent some time to think and pray and meditate on what all those possibilities may be in terms of what's beyond me, what's the unseeable, the unknowable. And for all things that are unseeable and unknowable, I just make a choice. Before you this day is set good and evil, life and death, choose life. And I hold hard to that one, very hard to that one. And so, I can feel that time when the sap is down and it seems so bitter. And I know that I have to, the times that I don't know, I have to have faith that the spring comes again and this too shall pass.
Well, no matter why we may feel like we're in winter, we do have the reassurance of knowing that spring does come again. And thank goodness for that. Thank God for that. It's good to see you all here today. I continue to be amazed at the how we can have a gathered meeting or feel like we really are together when we're really not in the same place. And today feels has felt like a good gathering. I have appreciated everybody's presence.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah. Thanks again, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Everybody stay warm.
That's right. It's good to see Dick moving around in the
It
background.
depends on how much oil you want to. We're conservative here and I'm kind of chilly, but whatever.
Yeah.
As am I.
Yeah. That's right.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Love you too.